Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Welcome to Dig on America, where we speak truth to power. Every week, we give you the dig on how American history, policies, and media created the social and political issues we face today. DOA is independent media supported by listeners, but they'll tell you we're just fake news, deep state propaganda, funded by George Soros, the Clinton Foundation, BLM Marxists, and
Wyclef Jean.
Darth Sidious.
Inigo Montoya.
Oh, I like it. That's the winner. I like Inigo Montoya. All right. So welcome everyone
Where'd he go?
to Dig on America. There he is. His camera went off. Welcome everyone to Dig on America. This is Jason Dutch here with Big Haas Salas, Neapolitan ice cream ding dong Haas. What's up, buddy?
What's going on?
And
How y'all doing
Mikey.
out there? How's everybody?
And I'm already on to Mikey. Sorry.
Oh, fine.
Mikey,
Whatever.
how are you? Welcome back from the cruise.
Thank you. I am now a married man.
Oh, you got married while you were there?
I am officially
shoot.
off the market. I'm sorry, ladies. This may come as a
Keep your
shock.
heart, 3 stacks. Keep your heart.
It's a good. It's a good thing that he is. It's a good thing that he is married now, because if he had been on the show last week with Jackson White from the Young Turks, who was on the show, they would have fell in love, because they're like, he was an anime fan. Like,
Oh, yeah.
You guys
That's
had all
my
the
best
same
friend.
views.
Yeah.
You guys would have
That
been
my best friend.
It would have been a total Step Brothers moment.
been a bro
We used to become
fest.
best friends. Yes. Yeah.
Well,
But we're here
that
today.
just means he'll just have to come back then, won't he?
Oh, he'll come back, yeah. But we're here today with a very special guest. We have with us a candidate for United States Senate, Ellison, who is running against Marco Rubio in Florida. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you gentlemen doing today?
We're doing
great.
Doing pretty
fantastic,
well.
man.
Doing pretty well.
You better believe it, as my shirt says. You better
So-
believe it.
Mr. Ellison, thank you for joining the show. I'm sure that we might have a couple of listeners who will ask questions for you about your campaign. We'll ask you a few questions about your campaign. But before we get to your campaign, we're going to play a game with you that let's see if Mikey
Why'd you
gets
say it so ominously?
because it's
wanna
a very
game
shady game. It's very shady. All right, so we're going to play a game with you, Alan. We play this game with all of our guests. We're asking you 4 questions. You're going to give us 4 answers. These are just silly questions. But let me call the audible on the show. 46
Oh,
Caribbean cruise. Mikey Famines married, said Hut.
oh,
jeez.
Lord.
The
it's
married
just
man.
getting
You get the first question. What do you got for what's your question
worse.
for Alan?
We'll keep it Caribbean themed. If you had to pick an island to retire to, where would you go?
Probably Turks and Caicos.
Oh, see, I don't even know you're gonna have to hit me the game. What you talk? What you said? What is this?
Turks and Caicos, man.
Where is that?
Ludacris only rap about it in every album.
You know, I don't be listening to Ludacris when he rap. I just like the beat.
Damn, that's where you messed up, son. Turks and Caicos, man, is a beautiful place. I've never been, and I want to go. I want to go to the Maldives as well, but you know,
Ooh, the Maldives.
before it totally goes underwater.
Right.
Hey, Turks and Caicos is nice, though. I've seen some pictures.
Oh yeah, beautiful
So
beaches,
Turks and
beautiful coral reefs. Yeah.
and you've been there a couple times or just the once?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I've never been, but it's a place I want to go. I have family.
Wow, okay.
there. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
You have
going
family
too.
there?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
We cousins. We cousins. We got to go back for the reunion. I'm riding with him. Right? I'm the Uncle Mikey.
All right, so our first ever Turks and Caicos reference on Dig on America. My question for you will be themed on Haas's T-shirt. Very simple question for you, but very important. Your favorite dessert?
Cheesecake.
Okay, you got to be more
Just
specific.
straight
than that.
cheesecake or
Yeah.
strawberry
You have to be a little
cheesecake?
more specific.
New York style cheesecake.
Dang, he's just hitting us with culture all over New York style. What I mean, what is that?
Florida will not be happy to hear you like that liberal New York cheesecake.
Well, Florida cheesecake is just cake.
It's just a block of Velveeta. Gross.
All right, so he'll be having New York style cheesecake in Turks and Caicos. Haas, what's your question for Alan?
All right, so outside of yourself, who is the most famous person to come out of Avon Park, Florida?
I mean, I was born in Avon Park, but I didn't grow up in Avon Park.
Oh, damn, Rudy.
So I couldn't
really?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay, follow-up question then. Which corporate development project has been your that you've been most proud of? Which one is that?
I would say 400 of them, because I've helped to establish over 400 businesses.
I love it. I love it.
If you could help dig on America, I mean, your help would not be turned away. We're a thriving small business ourselves.
We ain't saying no, like his wife should have said no.
We ain't saying, we just saying, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, how many viewers do we have right now?
Right now, I don't think anything 5. But 5 at the moment.
On average, what are you generating?
It ranges. On the video, we'll get anywhere between 35 and 300. On the audio, we get a little bit more, but the live streams are generally the same group of Mikey's friends who are all very, very vicious people.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you a business tip. Okay. If you can get those up to about 1,000, right? You can take this show to media buyers. There's lots of them in New York, and they will actually buy those ad spaces for you. And
well, you got to tweet the show out with your 200,000 followers then.
I already did.
Well, they should be pouring in every moment.
We mean every day, man. Every day forever. Hey, it's this has actually been a really good journey for the 7. What have we been doing this now? 7 months on this show? 8 months? No, 9.
As DOA?
Yeah, 9 months, because we started in mid-January, so we're at 9 months that would be 8, but yeah, interesting journey. Mikey, you got one more question left for our corporate expert pal.
I don't know. I still got vacation brain, so let me think. I wanted to be more fun because y'all questions stunk. So let me find something.
Okay, so should I ask the question then?
Yeah, please.
All right, so were you an athlete in high school?
Absolutely.
Which sports did you play?
I did track, cross country, and basketball.
Now, which were you best at?
Baseball, but I never played it.
Oh wow! Now, no, just stay there. Stay there. Why? Why did you not play baseball?
Well, baseball kind of conflicted with the track schedule. I was a pretty good track star.
Okay.
I did, the discus, the shot put, the long jump, triple jump, 400, 800.
Oh, so you basically did the heptathlon.
Oh yeah,
almost. Okay.
So, wasn't enough time to play baseball.
Follow-up question for you then. If you had to play tomorrow a game of 1-on-1 against Barack Obama, you got him?
Oh yeah. See, my game is above the rim, so you know this is what I do.
That's what I'm talking about. You're gonna smoke his boots. Barry better chill out. Barry
what would Mikey? What would Obama say as Alan dunked on him?
Oh, that's a pretty good above the rim game, but I play more outside. I like to post him up, top of the key. That's where I live. That's my shot.
He would probably say something like this. Alan, I see that's what you do.
Oh, we got a Obama impersonation.
It's an impersonate off.
Game recognized game. Give you a little dap. With his t-shirt tucked, his polo tucked into his sweatpants. I was like, Barack, stop it.
Yeah, come on, dude.
Go get some shorts right now.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that. I don't care. There must be something seriously going on with his legs for him to do that. Come on, quit playing.
Stop tucking in stuff in the sweatpants. Making us look bad.
Making us look crazy. All right. So before we get into our first topic of the day, Alan, if you would give everyone the elevator pitch on you, your platform, everything like that, and why you're running, and then we'll circle back to that again later.
Okay. Yeah. So my name's Ellison, running for the United States Senate. I'm a husband, a father, small business owner. I actually came from the District of 17, which is the largest, most red district in the state of Florida. I cut my teeth running for the United States Congress in 2018, where the Democratic nominee passed away. So it left literally 28 days to campaign for the congressional seat. I ran a 28-day campaign in 2018 without my name on the ballot, and nearly won the congressional race. I gained about 117,000 votes.
I was going to say, I thought it was like 120,000 votes that you picked up, and that's astonishing.
In 28 days without my name on the ballot. So we made a great deal of waves in the political arena. And so in 2020 came around, I ran again, and then COVID hit, and all of us Democratic candidates who were trying to practice social distancing, a lot of us went to strictly virtual campaigns. But I'm here now running to unseat Senator Marco Rubio. My platform is very simple. It's about improving the quality of life for everyone. And that is very comprehensive in terms of how many different people that are adversely affected by the lack of leadership in the United States Congress and the United States Senate. We are looking to help those individuals who do not have a voice in Congress, people that feel overlooked, disregarded, and in some cases disrespected. We want to make sure that everyone would have a voice and have representation. And so that's why I'm running. There are so many issues. There are literally 55,000 different issues. So all of the issues that are important to my constituents are important to me. And that's why I spend the most time being the most responsive, holding the most town halls, having the most civic engagement opportunities for citizens in the state of Florida and around the country, because people need to feel heard, and they need to know that there's someone willing to fight for what keeps them up at night. And so that's who I am. My gift is helping, and running for office is really just a way for me to maximize my gift.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so, and this is by no means saying that this is something that you might fall victim to, but it certainly seems that a lot of politicians, they come in with a lot of lofty ideals and aspirations, and they get sucked into the machinery, so to speak. What would be your plan for recognizing that and continuing to remain true to your campaign promises and really trying to follow through on those things and not get sucked into the temptation that the political machine seems to suck so many into, where it becomes, oh yeah, well, I meant to do that, but XYZ and things of that nature. How do you plan to stay the course of the enthusiasm and idealism that you have right now?
Well, thank you so much for that question. As a political scientist, I've studied why people make the mistake of making promises that they can't really keep. When you're in the United States Senate, you are one person of 100 people. When you're in the United States House of Representatives, you're one person out of 435 other people. So what happens is people make promises, not realizing that when you get into a place where you have to convince a majority of people to see things your way, it's a little bit more difficult. So I don't make promises. What I do tell people is what my vision is and what I would like to see and what I want to work towards. Because unless you get the majority of people that are in the United States Congress to see things your way and vote your way, it's almost like a juggling act. And part of the reason why a lot of people in Congress don't move forward is because they stay in their respective corners of the room on the issue of how are we going to pay for something. And so half of Congress feels that in order to pay for a program or a policy, we have to cut spending on existing programs And then the other half feel like we need to raise taxes on certain individuals. Well, those certain individuals happen to be those ones in Congress who do not want to have taxes raised on them. So it begins to create a stalemate. And what I try to do is, as a political scientist, is to find those creative ways to get policy passed where it doesn't step on the toes of those who are a little bit on the wealthy side, and it doesn't infringe upon the services that are being provided by the United States government. So we don't want to cut programs, and we don't want to raise taxes, because there is a third, a fourth, and a fifth, and a sixth option if you are creative enough to create these types of revenue streams to pay for programs. If we're going to have universal health care, well, that is a $1 trillion expense. How is it going to get paid for? Is it going to be paid for by cutting programs? That's going to hurt people. Is it going to be paid for by raising taxes? That's going to place a burden on people. So we have to find creative ways to do this where it doesn't do either. And right now, we definitely do not have anybody in the United States Congress who's thinking like that. I'm thinking like that, and I'm putting together plans to be able to pay for these progressive platforms so that we can move forward. We've had enough of our Congress not getting things done. So that's where I am. The other thing is, I hear people talk about, people have these ideals about what they want to do, and then when they get to Congress, they get sucked in. Part of it has to do with the fact that you have people who literally are saying anything to get elected, right, without even knowing what to do once they get there. That's why, like, when you get to Congress, the first thing they do is they send you to school to learn how Congress operates, because some things are definitely not workable. But not everyone went to school like I did to learn the inner workings of our government. Not everyone is a political scientist, and not everyone should be a political scientist. We have the most diverse nation on earth. People come from all walks of life, and we need representatives and senators that reflect America's diversity.
I had another question for you. I don't mean to dominate, but
no, okay.
I definitely don't want to forget this.
Dominating the paint.
My question now is in regard to the current reconciliation and infrastructure bills that are ironically seeing opposition from within the Democratic Party. What is your view on that situation? And Senator Manchin and Senator Sinema, what is your view of that, and what would be a solution, to help get the larger package through, along with the reconciliation package?
When I listen to the president talk about this particular bill, he mentions quite often that the bill pays for itself. And what he's saying is that over time, we eliminate certain expenditures by making the early investments now into this infrastructure plan. Some people have vision and they can see down the road, and some people are short-sighted. For those individuals who are looking at the magnitude of how much this bill would cost, a lot of times they're looking at it from a short-sighted perspective. Yeah, it's a big price tag, but the price tag has mechanisms in it where these investments will benefit the country over the long term. For a bill like that, I would like to see new revenue generators help to pay for it up front. And I think if we had something like that, let's say for like a public-private partnership to help pay for that, if we had something like legalization of cannabis across the country, something like that could help put at least $132 billion towards this program. If we had more trade relationships with countries who we're not tapping into their commodities to trade on our international platforms. I mean, there's a lot that we can do to help pay for it up front. And I think if we had some of that in place, we would have more support, not only in our own party, but on the other side of the aisle as well. I think that for the sake of the people, I think that our party, every member of our party, should be on board with it. But the other thing I wanted to bring up is sometimes people are not on board because of where they get their money. So if you follow the money, you can see very easily why certain individuals are not on board with where we need to go. And that's
right. And
why I support For the People Act, because it takes money out of politics. And if we can get money out of politics, I believe not only will a lot of these types of senators and representatives just like leave Congress, but it creates an environment where you have to lead based on ideas and ideals. So, you know, a lot of these people are just in the way and need to get out of the way. And I think it's one of the reasons why we can't get For the People Act passed, because they know that it cuts out a stream of money into their campaigns.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, we've talked a lot about getting corporate money out of politics over the years.
It's one of our main questions for every candidate that comes on this show.
Thank you so much for that answer. I mean, that's great. Thank you.
I'll ask you one follow-up question before we get to Haas's news story. Which of your candidates, as you've already noted that you're progressive and you're engaging in a lot of really dangerous speech here about taking PAC money away from all of the opponents, and, you know, oh my God, we're not going to coddle the corporate donors. You start talking some dangerous jazz like that. Who are the establishment Democrats throwing up in your face to try to take you down and create smear campaigns against you? I can't imagine that's not, if it hasn't happened already, it's going to. Oh
yeah, I mean, you know, I've been called privately about, you know, getting out of the race and how the smear campaigns are going to start. They haven't started yet, but I'm sure they're going to start pretty soon, because we don't take corporate PAC money. We are a grassroots movement. I was the first candidate to jump into the race a year ago, November 23rd. And because we are not taking PAC money, because we're not taking corporate special interest money, and we're building the kind of coalition that we should be building, it is bringing a great deal of stress on individuals who are running in this race. Again, there are 23 individuals running on the Democratic ticket. But our campaign is a little bit unique because, one, we got started so early, but also we're the most engaging campaign. We're the most responsive. We have captured a lot of the hearts and minds of the people. And as a political scientist and someone who is sincere about making life better for every American and not just some, it is, like you said it's dangerous. I said that it is disruptive. Because the thing that I learned in school was that if you take that type of money, then you're beholden to that type of individual, and you can't get the work done for the people because you're bound by so many obligations that take you away from the people.
Right.
So if you really want to make impact, if you really want to be about the people, then most of your campaign contributions should come from the people. And so, we're gonna have, this fight on our hands. But, I knew this was going to be the case before I even jumped into the race. I mean, I'm running against Senator Marco Rubio, of all people, someone who is definitely well funded, definitely the pick for his party. And so if I'm not afraid of Marco Rubio, I'm definitely not afraid of anybody else. So
I got one quick one for you. You appear to be quite young. It might just be that extra melanin, it helps preserve us. But for me, shut up, Dutch. But for me, I love the things that you say, and I love the way that you speak. And I wish more people closer to my age would run for public office. What words?
You can't run for office at 17. Come on, Mikey.
Shut your mouth. What words of encouragement would you have for people in their late 20s, early 30s into getting into politics? What words of wisdom would you try to drop onto them?
Well, one of the things that I always say is that if you don't know who I am, if you don't know what I'm about, if you don't know what keeps me up at night, and if you definitely don't care, then there's no way that you can represent my interests. And so for a lot of people that are in our age demographic, we have to realize that there are simply not people there that are looking out for us. So if you have vision, if you have concern, then get into the race and run. It doesn't matter if it's school board. It doesn't matter if it's city commission. Get into the race and run, because at the very least, you may not win, but you have everything to gain to be able to increase your voice and represent the people in your age demographic and the people that you care about, the people that are in your community. I mean, if you don't do it, then you're just stuck letting somebody who definitely does not care about you, don't know who you are, don't know that you exist, and they're going to write policy for you. And I just can't sit on the sideline any longer and allow people who don't care about me, people from my community, people that I care about, continue to try and represent our interests, because it hasn't worked. It never will. And so the best thing you can do is to get a seat at the table so that you can make policy impacts for you, your family, your community. And I always say this, when people are born into this world, everyone draws a circle. Some people draw a circle around self, and we've seen what that looks like. We've seen Donald Trump. It's all about self. We have people who draw a circle around themselves and their families, and that's admirable. It's what you're supposed to do. But then you have people who draw a circle around themselves and their community. Very few people draw a circle around themselves and the nation, and even fewer people draw a circle around themselves and humanity. So whenever you're looking at candidates, what you want to find out is how do they draw their circles? Is it just around them? Is it about personal gain? Or are they really looking to make impact for the people? And I'm one of those kind of people. My gift is helping. I'm a humanitarian. I will help anyone that is in need of help that comes into my vicinity looking for help. And that's what I'm all about. But some of our candidates that are running in this race, the only thing they have to offer is a bunch of accolades of personal gain, but have absolutely nothing to show of what they've done for the people with the time that they've spent.
Beautiful. We were going to do this later, but I got to ask you one other question. The Cuban community is, if you believed what you heard on Fox News, Latinos always vote Democrat. You saw the caravan in 2018. They're bringing rapists, they're bringing murderers, they're not sending their best, they're only sending all of these bad people. And they take these pictures of people and they're bringing socialism to America. The truth is, as I think all of us know here, that Latinos vote conservative very frequently, and Cubans at a much higher clip, like twice as much as most Latinos. I think I've seen numbers as high as 85%, and there's reasons for that. Some make sense. What's your strategy to engage the Cuban community specifically, because they do flip elections statewide in Florida?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. So at the beginning of the campaign, we spent a lot of time down in the Miami area, where a lot of our Cuban brothers and sisters reside. But let me say this. I'm going to back up for a second. The Hispanic community is not a monolithic community. It's very diverse. There's the Puerto Ricans, there's the Venezuelans, there's the Mexicans, the Cubans. And what we have found is that there have been a lot of Puerto Ricans that have poured into Florida, especially like in the Orlando, Orange County area. And they are voting at the rate of about 36% to the Cubans, 38%. And so what we do is we engage with every community, but our message is a little different depending on what keeps people up at night. And so the reason that I say that I'm the most responsive candidate is because I spend the most time engaging with voters to find out what is it that's on their mind. And what I found is that most of our Cuban brothers and sisters, there are things that they want, there are things that they need, And I try my best to let them know that as a candidate, as a Democratic candidate, we can achieve common goals together. And also try my best to dispel any misinformation that has been put out by Republicans, including Marco Rubio, that no, Democrats are not socialists. It doesn't matter that we have social programs. Our system of government is a representative democracy. We have the oldest written constitution on earth, and it is not set to change over to a socialistic system. So when I begin to educate voters about like who we are as a party, what our platform issues are, and what our constitution is, and how difficult it is to change our constitution, which is the oldest in the world, then I just let people know that a lot of what they have been misled to believe is simply misinformation, strategy, and tactics by the Republicans. And then I ask, well, what have they actually done to impact your world? Because you can always say that you stand here on this issue or you stand there on that issue. But at the end of the day, policy is supposed to have a direct positive impact. And if you can't put your finger on the direct positive impact, then maybe it's time to vote differently. And so as a political scientist, I do a lot of education. I believe that campaigning is education, and a better educated voter makes for a better voter. And so we spend a lot of time down in the Miami area. We're talking to the people. And the thing that I have heard is that Marco Rubio has not done anything for members of his own community. And so they are tired of it. We have a lot of them that have come on board with our campaign. We are the only campaign that has done interviews with Telemundo because this is the network that backed him whenever he first started out. But they're not backing him now. They're backing us. And that's what we're doing across the entire state. We're making connections. We're reaching the people. Our engagement, our grassroots engagement is strong and it's viable. Our message is strong and it's viable. And we're, like I said, we're educating people, and we're not only reaching Democrats, we're bringing independents and Republicans over to our side.
Wondering, do you speak Spanish?
I knew it.
See.
Do you?
See.
See?
See.
Okay. Can you do it better than Beto and Corey did, please, when you do that shit on stage?
I knew he was going to bring up the Cory Booker.
Well,
So what-
you ain't got to dance for him.
You
You ain't got to dance for him, Alan.
Yeah.
I didn't ask him to speak Spanish. I just said, can he do it? When you do it better than those two guys did, because both of them were. Beto spoke it way better than Corey did, but even it just looked.
Man,
my man
Corey was up there.
You know what I found out speaking Spanish is that our Hispanic brothers and sisters, they respect the fact that you try.
That is true.
Yeah, and it goes over very well because it's basically like a nod to their community. And this is, Hispanic Heritage Month. So, we definitely want to give a shout out to our Hispanic brothers and sisters, let them know that we're thinking about them. We're looking at policy and how it can directly impact their world. And we want to do our best for everyone. Our campaign's theme is about improving the quality of life for everyone.
Well, and I'm just, you will not support the Jesse L. Peterson White History Month, correct?
Educate me.
No,
you don't need to know.
You don't need to know.
You don't need to know. You don't need to know. You don't need to
As
know.
my man Fred Sanford once said, you don't know and you don't want to know.
We have some fun with the far right people on this show. Okay, so we'll circle back to this. Listeners, if you want to ask a question to Mr. Ellison, Ellison, I'm sorry,
Ellison.
please I was correcting myself. Always so quick to throw the Band-Aid
You know why?
out.
Because you very frequently do that and you just
my
keep
thing.
going.
I do that. I've been doing it for 3 years, and it's not going to stop.
It's what I do.
Big haste. Okay. Now, Big Haas, you have something that you would like to read. But listener, if you guys would like to, those on the live stream, obviously, if you have a question you'd like to ask about policy,
just tag me.
anything like that, just type it in the chat. So With that being said, Haas, what you got for us, man?
I've got a news item that is pretty interesting. I'm going to read it for you. And
question.
what? Yes.
Do I need my blood pressure medication before you start reading this?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm gonna go get it.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
This is great.
I love this. I think I love it so far. I've been trying to read a little bits and pieces of it. Dutch sent it to me, and
just use proper inflection. Go ahead. You got it, brother.
All right. As COVID cases across the nation continue to rise, one city has seemingly done a very good job in containing the virus's spread due to compliance with mask mandates and high vaccination rates. That city is San Francisco. At the center of this, and appropriately taking credit for it as she should, is San Francisco Mayor London Breed. However, this week, Mayor Breed got into a little hot water. Breed reissued a mask mandate last month that all individuals, whether they are vaccinated against coronavirus or not, have to wear a face covering indoors if they are not actively eating or drinking. It then goes a bit beyond and includes the following suggestion. People are urged to be seated at a table or positioned at a stationary counter or place while eating or drinking, aka no walking around eating and drinking. Interesting.
Okay.
Despite herself issuing the mandate last month, Breed on Thursday was spotted inside the city's Black Cat nightclub, Sans Mosque.
She's at that Black Cat. Hey,
while standing and dancing along to a live R&B music set.
Getting it in.
The spotting, giggity, is documented in video that was first aired on CNN. It also shows the mayor posing for photos unmasked with band members and other patrons.
London.
Yeah.
London.
Like my man said in Menace to Society. You know you done fucked up, right? Trevor Noah put it this way. Apparently, Breed is celebrating San Francisco's success by ending the city's masking rules. The only catch is she's only ending the mandate for herself. Now, people make mistakes, and a simple apology may normally have sufficed. However, it is her reply to the criticism that is uniquely noteworthy.
And
it goes as follows.
What did her say?
CNN reporter. This is a transcription. How do you respond to those who say you are violating your own health department's orders? Mayor Breed. Everyone was vaccinated. We had to show proof. I'm there with my friends, and people are going to drink. No, I'm not going to sip and put my mask on. Sip and put my mask on. That's just not realistic. When you go to the when you got to restaurants, I was at a restaurant, same thing. I'm leaving my mask down while I'm enjoying my food. You all know it's not realistic. Okay, maybe so, but there's more. She continues. Also, there was something truly monumental that occurred that day. For the first time in, I think, more than 20 years, the original members of Tony were performing live and in public.
Good night, y'all.
And I think that fact is getting lost here, which is unfortunate. God damn. She added, we don't need the fun police to come in and try to macromanage and tell us what we should or shouldn't be doing.
The fun police.
Now, time out. She does.
We know what we need to do to protect ourselves. End quote.
Now, if I could shoot her a little bit of bail, were they playing anniversary? Because you cannot remain seated if they play an anniversary.
Or it never rains in Southern California.
In her defense, you gotta
Oh
get
my
up.
God. How?
Let's purchase 2 new Bentleys.
I didn't know the end of
that
this. I didn't know the end of
chimney.
this when you said this to me. This is so straight.
I look. I had to triple check to make sure that
Oh
was
my
true.
God. In
But
the
I
words of the
watched
so-called
video.
beautiful from Chappelle's show, that was 100% rat ass. Right there, dude.
So
She said, I don't want it to be lost.
Yeah.
That Tony
Tony
played 20 years.
For the first
It's
time
been
in 20
years.
So,
Alan.
It was a
your
stone groove, man.
What's your reflection, Alan?
Well, it was Tony.
she's got a point. I mean,
It was Raphael Sadiq, man.
That's Mr. Sadiq up there. Are you kidding me? If I can shoot, and for real, I can shoot her some bail because I did just get back from my honeymoon. I was on a cruise, right? And there were certain areas, like to be on the boat at all, you had to be vaccinated unless you were a kid. And if you were a kid, there was very few things you could do, which is why I don't understand why anybody brought their children, because they couldn't go nowhere and they couldn't do nothing. So there was a nightclub on the ship, and you had to have your vaccination and provide a negative COVID test to get on the boat in the first place. We didn't wear masks up there because everybody was vaccinated. Is that a bad thing?
No,
I don't know.
Because you didn't make the policy.
But if everyone in there has to show a vaccination card to get in, can people not wear the masks?
Yeah, but the mandate says that's the catch. The new mandate that was issued in August specifically says vaccinated or unvaccinated must wear masks indoors.
Therein lies the rub.
Right.
Oh, so
and let's not forget that Tony was in the house.
She said this is a monumental occasion.
And like Tony wasn't masked, but I don't expect them to be.
They're singing.
Right.
What I love is how she parroted all of the right wing, like anti-mask talking points. Fun police. We don't need nobody telling us to do what we can and can't do. We know how to protect ourselves. She might as well have said, I trust my immune system.
I think
Jesus Christ.
I think it was 4 of them, Lamar, to answer your question. 4, not all 7 of them, but yeah.
Ivermectin. Did she have a shot of ivermectin before she had her Cosmo?
She had a spoonful. She had a dollop. She had a fingerful before she went out.
So Alan,
you
my
grow your
question
pinky
is,
nail out and then just kind of
you give it a toot. Alan, my question to you is this: when it comes to people who are in public office, A, I think you'll agree that you're held to a higher standard of accountability. But B, let's say that the same thing happened to you, right? You had a couple drinks. That's not illegal. You're an adult. It's cool. The right wing won't understand that, but we do. How would you respond to that? Would you, I mean, maybe if it was like Belle Biv DeVoe was playing, then, how would you respond?
You have to hold yourself accountable, I guess. I mean, I think if I was in that situation, I would say, you know what, you're right. I was wrong. I'll do better the next time, because, with this whole masking situation, what we have found out is that over time, you do get a little lax sometimes. Like when the pandemic first started, I was doing a lot of, spraying the doorknobs inside, outside, going through all of the routines of trying to be safe, making sure that I wash my hands at least 30 times a day. But you do get a little lax, and it's nothing new. I mean, we've gone through pandemics before. In 1918, we went through this same thing where we had everything except vaccinations. People were going through this stuff, and people got tired and they got weary. And I try to just remind myself and remind everyone around me that if we don't practice these safety protocols, then we just further prolong how long it exists. And so it's unfortunate that she didn't do what she needed to do to lead by example, because people, when they get the policies, they want to do right. It doesn't feel good, but if your leaders aren't doing right, then it makes them feel like, why do I have to do what you're telling me to do and you're not doing it? So I think just a simple apology would have been good enough, and say, you know what, you're right. Even though people were vaccinated, it doesn't look right. And so, if it was me, I would just give the apology and try to do better, because it's not like it's going to be a one and done situation. The pandemic still looms. People are still dying. It's probably going to be around for at least another year, especially with so many people feeling like they can just go out and party. I just had a town hall last night on this issue about masking and vaccines and how it all works, because a lot of people think just because you have the vaccine that somehow it is a magical force field that keeps you from getting COVID. In fact, even with the vaccine, you can get COVID and transfer it to someone who doesn't have a vaccine and kill them. And so, we just have to continue to stay vigilant until this threat of what is known as a virus, especially here in Florida, where we have the DeSantis variant, who's helping the COVID vaccine to just kill more and more people. But yeah, we have to do our part, because what we don't want to see happen is for more of our family members, our loved ones to die. I personally have had about 7 family members to die of COVID in the last 3 months. And just
condolences, man.
Yeah, just yesterday, a previous pastor at my church, he just died yesterday. And it was very unfortunate, because it's someone who would do anything for anybody, someone who left young girls behind, and I have a young girl myself. I always say that for those people who are talking against it, saying that it's a hoax, saying that the vaccine is the government's way of trying to get access to your brain and all these ridiculous things, God forbid that the virus affects them and their family. But I've been saying that until it touches everyone in some way, directly, indirectly, we're going to have people who are out here talking that kind of talk. And you can easily see those ones who haven't been affected yet, because they're cavalier. They are just doing whatever they want to do. I mean, they go out to the stores with no mask on, but watch whenever it affects them directly, when they have loss.
Right.
Then that's when things become very real for them. And you've seen it on television, people that are anti-maskers, anti-vaxxers, and then they get it and they're holding on for their lives. And now they want to tell everyone, listen, this is real. We see it all the time, but it just hasn't affected it, because we have 350 million Americans, but we don't have half of the people haven't been, exposed yet. But,
is personally that statement that, okay, we have to wait for enough people to be touched by it for it to really start to get some movement. I just feel like that is an indictment of the state of humanity in America, where there's so many people that can't see outside the tip of their nose, that we have to wait for some tragedy to happen to these people in order for them to finally have some compassion, some empathy, some sense of truly behaving as an American citizen who cares about their fellow man. And, I just remember a lot of these people who refused to comply were telling other people, this is America. This is not black. This is not white. This is not Democrat. This is not Republican. We're Americans. Start acting like Americans. And I think that not being able to have compassion and have a sense of wanting to do what is best for the citizenry is in direct conflict. That would be acting like an American, because you want to make sure that your fellow American is in good health and that you aren't doing anything to contribute to the detraction of that good health. But the exact opposite is happening, and I just don't understand how these people don't see the hypocrisy and the lack of compassion and the for lack of a better word, unchristian-like behavior they are exhibiting while saying act like an American, while saying that they are Christian, while saying that we are one country.
But what's more fun? Doing the hard work of empathy, or just falling back into tribalism where all you have to do is pick a team and rah Siskumba go team. So if go team go is take care of yourself, F everybody else, it's easier. And if the less you care, you don't have to be so informed on the issues. It's easier. And if people can, and unfortunately, a lot of people, they just really like that easy way, man. Like, it's just like, because if you actually ask people who are anti-vaxxers, or even when people were like Trumper nutters and they were talking all this crazy shit about birth certificates and about this and about that, if you actually ask them like 2 or 3 questions, they have nothing. They have no idea why they believe this stuff, but they will get it tattooed on their arm, but they will spray paint it on the back of their truck. They'll do whatever they need to be to show that they're part of the team. But if you ask them, what part of the team do you like? They don't even know. They just know that they're part of a team, and that feels good. And if it feels good and you're offering them something that feels bad, it's hard to win that.
Yeah. So they all want to just say own the libs. Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, so one of the things, what he's saying is absolutely true. It's tribalism. But the thing that can cut through is education. And so what our campaign has done on this particular issue is we have tried to look at all of the arguments and come up with ways to challenge those arguments. And so it's going to coincide with what both of you are saying. You're saying that this is not what Americans do. So what we say is, it's un-American and it's unpatriotic. I started this campaign back in 2020 when I said that the most patriotic thing that you can do right now during a pandemic is to wear a mask, because wearing a mask may not be about you. It may be about saving someone other than you, someone who maybe even may be close to you, maybe a neighbor. And so every Monday we have the Mask Up Mondays mask challenge, where we're challenging people to post their favorite or their best mask photo. And inside of that campaign, we talk about wearing is caring. We talk about it's a fashion statement. So I always put on something really nice with a really nice matching mask and show how fashionable you can look with your mask. So it's a fashion statement. I also challenge people with in terms of intellect by saying that wearing a mask is not only a fashion statement, but it's also an IQ test. So intelligent people are wearing masks. I also use the idea of them being patriotic and looking out for someone other than self, especially with the idea that these arguments are not new. These arguments came up 103 years ago with the anti-mask league. And what we saw from that anti-mask league was they began to form these teams, these tribes, and they would go out into the street and they would protest. These protests were nothing more than super spreader events. Yep. The flu pandemic went from the second phase into a third phase, killing 675,000 Americans out of the 50 million Americans that it infected, and 50 million people worldwide out of the 500 million people. And COVID-19 just surpassed the flu pandemic of 1918, becoming the second most deadliest virus pandemic in world history. And so when we challenge them on the educational standpoint, IQ, fashion, patriotic duty, and just really trying to get them to understand that it doesn't matter how many guns you own. That doesn't make you patriotic. It doesn't even matter how many flags you fly. That doesn't make you patriotic either. What makes you patriotic is looking out for your countrymen and women. And the best way you can do that right now is to wear a mask. Because I believe that if I got COVID, I probably wouldn't die. I think that my immune system is probably strong enough. But that doesn't mean I can't get COVID and pass it to my great aunt, whose immune system is compromised in some ways. So you can be a spreader simply by not masking up. And so the best thing you can do is wear a mask. Do it. Wearing is caring. And, just let's stop with all of the arguments that people keep coming up with. I just posted last night, Kenneth Copeland, the televangelist.
One of our favorites.
He's, and it's very dangerous because he just put out that getting vaccinated is somehow taking the mark of the beast. And people who are in the Christian world, they feel as if, he may have a point there. No, he's absolutely wrong. And he's just using that as a scare tactic to get people to send in money so he can buy another jet.
Yeah, we had this conversation last week.
Now can I tax the church?
Yes. We had this conversation last week with our new friend Jackson. And basically we covered a lot of the prophetic with this. And like my parents are part of that movement. Okay. So it's difficult for me. And you have this dynamic where, I've talked to a couple of these, it's this new version of QAnon. It's not really Q, but it's prophetic-ish. And like, it will be because God said it will be, and Copeland's in on this. And
Propheline.
Is it Aranon? Is it,
no, it's
going
just, they're not even smart enough to do an acronym. Propheline. Yeah. But I've told a couple of them, I've been like, look, brother, if you think that the precious shed blood of Christ is making you immune from COVID, and therefore you can deny other protections that God has probably provided to you if you believe in God, right? You could make that argument. Then why on earth do you need a gun? Because is God the God of COVID, or is he the God of the universe? If he's the God of the universe, he will also, there's no need to protect yourself with a gun because he will stop the criminal from attacking you. But then they say, no.
Like Neo in the Matrix.
Yeah, he said, and Haas is talking on mute again. Again.
Dutch, don't act like you never talk on freaking mute, dude. That is your
girls, you're both pretty.
No, I've got to say what I got to say.
Hey, Tony
always talks on mute. Okay.
And I got a Tony mask, and I will wear it.
Okay. Real quick, our dear friend Bill Lamond, rhymes with pond, fill the pond. He says, I have 2 African-American friends who have been very reluctant at best to get vaccinated. Any suggestions? Everything you just heard before.
Yeah.
All of that stuff.
Just tell them Tuskegee was a long time ago.
Yes.
And if they were doing that again, they wouldn't have a vaccine. They just let you have it and then study the after effects of you having COVID, because that's actually what they did. They just did not treat those syphilitic people. And they just said, I wonder what's going to happen to those colorists.
On a lot of those cases. But the problem is the conversation is just so hard to have. I went to I went to school. I dropped my son off at school yesterday, and the car that was parked in my son is autistic, right? So I have to drop him off and walk him to the door. And where the car was, where the parking lot was at was pretty much all full. And there was someone who like double parked, and the bus was coming behind me. So I was like, I got to get to a meeting in a minute. So I parked my car, and like half my car was in a handicap, like the striped part. The other half was in the spot because of the way the other person parked. And I'm like, screw it. It's going to take me a minute. I'm good. So I ran over, dropped my son off, had my mask on because it's the rule. Yes, I kind of ignored the handicap rule, but I took that risk on my own knowingly, right? And I came back to the car. This guy goes to me, he goes, can you not see through that mask? I took a picture and sent it to my friend who's a detective. I said, look, brother, I said, and I literally called him Karen. I was like, look, Karen, you wouldn't have said anything to me if I didn't have a mask on. The only thing that triggered you was the mask. And sure enough, later, there's a mask protest outside my kid's school every single day. There's 13, 14 people standing there every single day. You know, and one of these, I told you guys today, I'm gonna go over there and interview him one of these days. But it's just like there's a question that we had. Let me pull it up here for you, Alan. Oops, sorry, it just came in right there. All right, so the question that we have is from Cupcake 499. Well, there's a lot of numbers.
Just
from Twitter. The far left is influencing the rest of Democrats with real socialism. I think this is in response to your question from earlier. So yes, it is. Americans are at a critical point choosing between communism and the freedoms of a representative federal democracy.
Hold on, how are you going to go from socialism to communism and then a representative?
Because he doesn't have to be consistent. Alan, how do you reply to that?
Again, we have the oldest constitution in the world. Our system of government is set up that if we're going to change our government, our constitution, it's going to take a 2/3 vote in both houses. You can't change a government simply by ideology. It has to be changed through votes. It has to be changed through 2/3 votes, and then it has to be signed off by a president. No one in the Democratic Party is interested in moving our current government over to a socialistic government or a communist government. In fact, just simply Google, since there's so many people that are getting their PhDs and their MDs from Google, just Google what those two words mean, and you'll see that there's nothing associated with what those words mean and what any policy that anybody in the Democratic Party is pushing. Now, what I want to say is that if we're talking about universal health care or Medicare for all, is that something that you believe that that we should not have? And if that's the case, why not? Is it because of what you've heard, or is it because of what you know? Because I fundamentally believe that every American should have universal health care. It should be a right. We are the only nation out of 33 nations that are developed in the world that do not have this system. And if it means that we can get it without raising taxes on the wealthy, if it means that we can get it without cutting existing programs, and if it means that we can create a new revenue generator to pay for it, what would be the problem of being able to have whatever program we want? At the end of the day, what separates the parties is simply where the money is spent. It is the very thing that created the parties, and it's the very thing that keeps people separated today. People who are conservative traditionally, historically felt that we should have continued to put our federal resources into defense, and those on the left felt that we should put federal resources into social programs that help move American life forward. If you believe that we need funds spent on defense and social programs, and that makes you a moderate. So that's how it works. All of these labels, like communism, we don't have a communism government. I mean, we got rid of the idea that anyone was trying to deal with communism in America during the Red Scare. And so people are still trying to use scare tactics to move people from point A to point B, when really we all have more in common than not. At the end of the day, there are 55,000 different issues. If you are one of those people who only look at one issue or two issues, and that's supposed to somehow justify who you are and your political position, then I just want to challenge you to look at all of the other issues that exist. Issues of immigration, education, economic development, infrastructure, social security. I mean, there are so many different issues that if we start naming all of them, what we're going to find out is that we have more in common than not. And I think it's time that America begin to wake up, stop with the divisive rhetoric, and start looking at how we can build together. You know, walls don't help anyone. In fact, the greatest man-made structure that you can see from the moon was the Great Wall of China. It took 100 years to build it. When it was complete, they found out that it didn't work. Walls only serve to isolate us. It only serves to divide us. We need to be about building bridges and get to one another, better understand one another, because bridges is what has allowed America to become the greatest nation on earth. Infrastructure. We were landlocked before that, but with the development of our roads, our infrastructure, we became an industrialized and mighty nation. We did that in this country, and we can continue to do even more. But we can't do it with the type of rhetoric that I just heard.
And, I have a quick question for you.
Before you say that, just want to make a quick aside.
Here we go.
Your quote about the walls and the bridges. You got the look too, brother. If you don't win, you could beat T'Challa. Okay, so
stop it.
I'll
right
pitch
now.
it for you. All right,
you stop it right now.
All right,
You're out of line.
Alan, quick question for you, and I think that this is critical. You've talked about education a bunch of times, and you recently were just talking about the divisive rhetoric. What is your strategy for having discourse, positive discourse, with those who view, especially on the issue of COVID, you are trying to educate them as divisive rhetoric?
Well, I tell you this, I fundamentally believe that when you're dealing with ignorance, the only thing can overcome ignorance is education. And so when you have people who are constantly throwing up misinformation, you have to push out the right information as much as they're pushing the disinformation. And when you think about the Democratic Party, it's something that we don't do good enough and we don't do enough of. We allow the Republicans to dominate the airwaves with who we are as a party. I have a strong background in marketing and PR. And the thing that I have found out was you never allow anyone to control your branding. You have to control your own branding.
Yep.
And so
we talk about that all the time.
People telling the public that we're socialists and we're communists, I tell them to go look that term up, because when they look it up, other than just hearing it, when they look up the definition and see what it really is, then it makes them feel very stupid, because there is no way that we can be something like that in the type of governmental system that we have. It just does not exist. It only exists in labels. It doesn't exist in reality. And the fact of the matter is that we elected representatives to do a particular job, and that is to provide a level of service to the people. It is a trade-off for being taxed in the first place. So if you're going to be taxed, the very thing that you can expect from your government is some benefit from being taxed. If you can't expect benefit from being taxed, then why are we being taxed in the first place? When we think about law enforcement, there's a term that comes to mind: serve and protect. But what people don't know is that serve and protect is really the role and function of our government. Our government is supposed to serve us with representatives, senators, with social programs, and it protects us with law enforcement and our military. You have to have both in order to have a strong centralized government. And so when you have people who look at the serving aspect of what government does as somehow being socialistic or communist, it's the evidence that they do not understand what our government is and what the function of our government is. It's a trade-off, folks. If you're being taxed, you deserve some benefits. That's why they call it entitlements, because you are entitled to it for being taxed in the first place.
One quick thing. I have stopped largely having political arguments on Twitter and Facebook and MySpace and all. Like I just don't do it. I don't even get
MySpace.
I don't even bother doing it anymore, because my very first question is, okay, what district are you in? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like, nope. Back to the drawing board, homie.
He's on MySpace by himself, though, so it's hard to have a political conversation with yourself.
It's a
No, it's-
joke, Dutch. You might have heard of it. But that's always my first question. I'm like, what district are you in? Who's your representative? Who's your who's your Congress peeps? If they don't know, then you don't get to argue with me about anything. You need to go back to basics, figure out who is in charge of your district, and figure out what their stance is on what you're saying is. Because if you are diametrically opposed to them, then you already you have a bigger battle to do. You need to get that person out of office. You need to go up and support the person who's fighting the incumbent. Why are you talking to me? Don't talk to me. Talk to the people who are going to be actually in office in your area. Why are you arguing with me on Twitter? Okay, so Google who your people are and go talk to them, because you don't even know. Your journey has started off all wrong already.
Would you, and I agree with that for sure. I mean, I would say that it's because you're in their face and the congressman's not. They want to take the time or effort to go look up anything, God forbid, unless it's the new episode of Bridgerton, like Haas's show.
Why he
would
call
you support
out like that though?
I had to. So Alan,
I like
would you
Bridgerton.
support?
Fuck off.
I know he does. He was the only one on here who did. Well, actually, quick comment from on Twitter from Asia. I hope I'm saying that right. Asia Ani, Oni Ani Alande. I hope I'm saying your name right. It never rains in Southern California. I guess she's saying is the song that Maskless London was dancing to. So thank you for that comment. But
So
Alan, would you
it's not her fault.
would you support? Yeah, it's not her fault. It was the song's fault, right? So, would you support the idea that moving away from local property taxes, funding local schools, and putting something together where it's more of a amalgamation of all of the funds from throughout, maybe, I don't know about the country, but maybe throughout each individual state, that is then allocated evenly to the schools, so that we don't have this disparity in schools where the white school is graduating doctors and lawyers, and the black school 3 miles away where the kids eat at the same McDonald's has 70% graduation rates. I think that that's a key issue. I don't think Democrats focus on education enough, because I think it's the way that we can fix this country in a given amount of time. Would you support a policy like that? And if not, like what's your plan?
Yeah, I would definitely support any policy that provides a level of equality across the country when it comes to our educational system. I fundamentally have like a variety of different ways to be able to pay for something like that, whether it is like taxing the sale of our privacy data, because right now they're still in our privacy data on all of these apps every day. And the sale of it goes untaxed. I think if we were to start taxing the sale of our privacy data, we could generate enough money to 100% federally fund our local public schools and even our colleges across the country, where they would have the necessary resources to pay the teachers and have the best curriculum to teach our children. So I would be for any policy, ideal, proposal that can do the same thing.
I'm with it.
One other quick question. Go ahead.
I'm really sick of big tech, because a lot of people don't understand big tech. So they are making a mint off of your data. Mint.
I love how I walked in the subway the other day, or I walked past the subway the other day, and my Samsung told me like 15 minutes later, hey, you can get a 650 foot long now. $5 foot long is gone. It's a 650 foot long now. So
that's called geofencing.
And that and Uber sells your data to so that they know exactly where you got Uber to. But I had a conversation yesterday, Alan. I'd like your thoughts on it. Actually, all you guys. And the guy was talking about how there are big positives to gentrification. And he didn't seem to quite wrap his head around my argument. His argument was that why is a white person who buys up a house in the black community and makes it nicer and then makes money off of it, why is that person doing something that is wrong? I couldn't seem to get through to this person. What would your response be?
The thing is, gentrification isn't necessarily a black and white issue. It's a social issue that's been taking place since the beginning of time and throughout the world. It takes place in Russia. It takes place in societies where everyone is the same race. It's not fair for those who are on the lower economic totem pole because they can live there for so many years and then move away and not get as much for their property as someone else coming in who's on a higher social economic standing. But it's not really a black and white issue. It's really just a social issue. And so, it's unfair, but it's not a racial thing per se.
I think I would agree with that. I think the issue is that they try to make it one, like, because one of the things that they said was, well, Patrice Cullors did it. I said, so Thomas Jefferson owned slaves. Should I throw away all of the papers that he wrote?
Yes.
So it just doesn't make any sense to me. But all right, so we'll move on real quick into the topic, and then we'll if we have some time, we'll get back and ask some more questions here. So let's jump into. Can you throw the dig up there for me, my man, on the bottom?
I'm on it.
All righty. So today, in my 8th grade social studies class, my teacher, Mr. Humble, taught me things that it turns out, after doing my own research, wasn't exactly the whole story. And this week, we will dive into the origin and modern issues with the Electoral College. The Electoral College is written into Article 2. If you thought that we, the people, elect the president, then you are sadly mistaken. In fact, twice in the last 2 decades, the candidate who lost the popular vote has claimed the White House, thanks to the way the system is set up, referring obviously to Trump and Bush too. Would you like to read this portion of the Constitution for me, Mr. Famine?
Okay, this comes to us from law.cornell.edu.
The executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States of America. He shall hold his office or her office during the term of 4 years, and together with the vice president chosen from the same term, be elected as follows. Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the number of senators and representatives to which the state may be entitled in Congress. But no senators or representatives or person holding an office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector.
Yes. And it closes out, Congress may determine the time of choosing electors and the day on which they give their votes, et cetera, et cetera. And shall be same throughout the United States. So basically this means, according to Britannica, in the Electoral College system, each state gets a certain amount of electors based on its total number of representatives in Congress, one for each House of Representatives and member, and every state gets 2 senators. Montana gets 2 senators, but only has 1 representative. Each elector casts 1 electoral vote following the general election. We're not going to talk about electors really. It's a weird thing. There are more than there are a total at the moment of 538 electoral votes. The candidate that gets more than half, or 270, wins the election. There has been a long debate in Congress about the modern relevance of the Electoral College, with arguments against it being that it gives undue weight to smaller states. Changing this, however, would require a constitutional amendment, and I'm going to ask Alan a question about this when I am done, which of course would need to be ratified by the states to become law. While the topic is often discussed, no amendment has ever been proposed, that I could find at least, to overturn Article 2. Or amend Article 2 would be the better way to say that. According to Colorado State University scholar Rabbi Hillel Katzir, hope I'm saying that right. Probably not. This is because the framers of the Constitution at the Constitutional Convention in 1787 did not entirely trust the people. And Katzir surmises that if Thomas Jefferson, who at the time was Minister to France, had been around, that may have been different because Jefferson did trust the people and had tremendous influence. So there were those at the convention who wanted a direct popular vote, and then you had others who didn't trust the people, and they wanted statesmen who were more in tune with the political theory and better educated to be solely responsible for choosing the leader of the nation. This was taking place at a time when decision makers were limited to white male property owners over 21, and in some states 25. So this was a compromise between the two groups, the one who wanted the people and the one who wanted the elites. The second one's still freaking around, giving power to smaller states. For example, like Maryland had 75,000 people, and Virginia had 200,000 people. Under one program, Virginia would have more representation. Connecticut and Maryland didn't like that. In addition, it's only recently that electors themselves were more or less mandated to vote for whomever won the states. And most elections have had faithless electors. Example, in 2016, Hillary Clinton won California by 1 million votes in an election where there was a narrow 3 million vote difference. However, she won all 56 of California's electoral votes, regardless of if she won by 1 million votes or by 1 vote. This not only wastes votes in a way, as in this case, 999,999 votes for Clinton didn't matter in the tally, but it also disenfranchises the minority voters who did vote for Trump in this case, because all the states that went to Clinton, regardless of the fact that she did not receive all the votes from the state, she got all of the electors from the state. So it renders the voters on the losing side in almost every state, with a couple of exceptions that split up their electors, voiceless. In a time where voter fraud is a highly debated topic, note that it is only because of the Electoral College that it even matters what state a citizen votes in. So if there was ever any potential for fraud, it would almost certainly be due to the odd setup of how our votes are allocated. It should last be noted that in our history of trying to nation build and set up democracies across the world that mirror our own, not one time have we proposed any other nation to use the Electoral College system in their newly established democracy. So there is your dig for the day. And my question to you about that, Alan.
Wait, real quick.
Yes, please go ahead.
That one, there's a couple of states, but I think Nebraska is one of them where I think it has
Nebraska and Maine.
Yeah, Nebraska, Maine. I think Nebraska has 5. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So like there's like the one that has Omaha and then all the rest of them. So pretty much it kind of, I think they're weighted based upon the population, if I'm not 100% wrong there. But a friend of the show, Ira Sweet, talked about this on a couple of videos on his channel. So that's the only reason I know. I just want to bring that up.
No, perfect. Alan, would you be the man to finally bring legislation to end the Electoral College, or do you like it?
I personally do not like how the system is set up with the Electoral College, because what it does is it creates a republic, it creates a representative democracy, and I personally favor a true democracy. I don't like the fact that we ended up with Trump when we should have had who the people wanted. If the people can vote one way and the Electoral College can vote another, then that means you have a select few people controlling the fate of our representative democracy or our republic. And so, as you can see just from reading how difficult it would be to get all of the states on board to ratify a legislation like that, it should really make a lot of people who ask the question or make the idea or the notion known that somehow Democrats are socialists and communists, and they're going to take our government to a communistic government. It's so difficult to change our system that it's never been done. And I don't think that it will be ever done, because unless you have a completely homogenous society where everybody's on the same page about, everything, this would never happen. And as you can see in our country, we are a very diverse society, and we are all over the place, with everyone having their own opinion, their own ideas about, the direction in which we should go, that we can barely even get any legislation passed. And something like that, it would take everybody being on the same page. So I would propose legislation to get rid of the Electoral College, but it has to go through so many levels of hands before something like that could happen.
And I think the other messed up part about it is, until we have a truly, like, Trump was bad, but until we have somebody truly just awful, and there's just, like, on almost a cataclysmic level, there's no way that that's going to get passed. The states are not going to go for it unless it is something so egregious and so wrong that now they're saying, oh, now I'm affected, just like we were talking about with the COVID stuff. Oh, now it's affecting me, so let's do something about it. But the chances of that happening because of the electoral process as it stands now is slim to none. Like, we literally have to have Thanos run, and then we would change the Constitution. You know what I'm saying? That is the only way that we would manage it. Like,
Thanos is more, way more. He gets to me. I get Thanos a lot more than I get Trump.
I see with the purple shirt on and everything. I see what's going on. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Global Jim Purple Cobras, baby. That's right. Go ahead, Alan.
I think the effects of Trump is going to be playing out for years to come, especially with all of the Supreme Court appointments, the federal judges that he's appointed. Like, we haven't seen the last of Trump and his impact, and it's going to be adverse. It's already, if you just look at where we are in our country with the level of division, both socially and politically, the people who are pandering for his approval, his base. I mean, we have really gone down a really rocky road. I mean, you got 70 million people thinking that the election is somehow rigged. And when you think about how the president is elected, we have the voting apparatus, but it's really the Electoral College who picks the president. So you still have people thinking that Trump won the election, the big lie. So that erodes our democracy, because the next election cycle that comes around, you're going to have people thinking that, it's not going to be legit. And when people, I always say this, our government, and really any government, our government, the Constitution, is only as strong as the people that believe in it. When people stop believing in the government and the Constitution, chaos will break out every time. And we saw what happened
January 6th. Yeah.
Nothing happened January 6th. That was a bunch of patriots.
It was a guided tour.
Yeah, they were let into the building. No, if I have to have that conversation again, Alan, my head is going to explode right in front of you, and then you'll win on the viralness of this video by a landslide. So maybe there would be some positive to it. Big Haas, what do you got to say?
I just think that Alan is definitely right. A lot of people want to change that, but the process to do it is just, and it's so hard to do. And when you spoke about people's belief in the process being critical, it reminded me of a show called American Gods, where the old gods were being less and less believed in by the new millennials and Gen Zers, et cetera, et cetera. So they were losing power to the new gods, and the new gods were like social media and things like that. And that just struck a chord with me, because the old gods were holding on to this power and trying to cling to this power, but the new gods were becoming more and more powerful, and people weren't believing in Odin anymore. They were believing in Twitter and things like that. And it of course, it wasn't named Twitter, but
Twatter.
The god Anansi from Africa, who was portrayed by Orlando Jones in such a wonderful way. So It's 100% true. If you can have people believing that the system is corrupt, the system is rigged, then you have people pretending they're Spider-Man on the walls of the Capitol. So,
Absolutely.
When there was literally a stair set right next to them.
And real quick,
and the cops were letting them in. So I mean, it wasn't like they were black.
Just take the stairs.
Real quick,
climbing
Jim,
up the wall. Just take
to
the
Jim
stairs.
in the chat. I absolutely get your point on New Jersey and Virginia, and also I got your other long comments as well. But I need to go through and figure out what we'll touch on that. I'll reply to that next week. I guarantee it. We do have a question from again from Twitter here. It asks, do you support a federal minimum wage of $15 an hour or higher? And that is from Sharon Brown.
Absolutely, Sharon. I support a federal minimum wage of $15 or higher. I prefer a thriving wage, something around $24, $25 an hour. The thing is that,
Yahtzee.
The rate of inflation, it goes up every year, but minimum wage hasn't gone up in a very long time. And I think that we need to jump up a few notches in order for people to get to where they need to be. Our campaign.
Can you explain the correlation to people for the number that you just chose between inflation when minimum wage started and what it is today, and the number you chose of $24 to $25 an hour?
Yeah, so in some places like Florida, minimum wage is like $7.25. And for a lot of places, minimum wage hasn't gone up in 20 years, but the rate of inflation increases every single year. If inflation goes up, if things that cost, if bread cost $2 yesterday and it costs $4 today, and it can cost $6 tomorrow, as everything increases, but your salary, then you are falling behind. You're not going to be able to pay for things. You're going to end up like, some of my people that reach out to me that are in situations that can't pay their rent because the food bill is too high. They can't pay their mortgage because their Medicare cost is too high. They can't pay for necessities because their student loan debt is more than everything else. And so we have to be able to have jobs that allow us to thrive, not just barely get by. And some people are just existing and they're like one check away from losing everything. And I think that if we can get to a point in our society where minimum wage is around $24, $25 an hour, then everybody will be doing good, because if you have more, you're going to spend more. Money's going to circulate. It's going to be good for the economy. If you can put some money into a savings and if you can put a little bit into some investments, it helps everyone. Because,
right.
If imagine, and I know you don't have to imagine, a lot of people are dealing with this right now, but they are dealing with the fact that is all the money they got coming in is already allocated to go out, and it causes stress. People die from stress. They say stress can burst a pipe. We know that people are literally having aneurysms. People are having strokes. People are dying from heart attacks because of the stress of the financial stress of living in America. And that's one of the reasons why I support a universal basic income.
Yes.
And universal basic income is something that where the government pays you between $1,500 or $2,400 a month for every citizen, regardless of social economic standing. And I think that out of all of the 33 developed nations, we're the only ones who don't have some type of UBI system. I mean, some countries call it different things, but at the end of the day, it's a revenue that comes to every citizen. Some countries call it an equalization payment. Some societies call it a wage subsidy. It is a concept that has been around since Thomas Paine. It is not new. We just don't have one. But it's something that I want to be able to work towards and find a way to pay for it. Maybe we legalize cannabis, take the $132 billion from that, and pay Americans a basic income from that. Maybe we tax, these corporations that are selling your privacy data. Maybe we build partnerships with different countries that don't have trading partners and take the revenue from that. Maybe we balance our trade trade policies that are right now not balanced and generate the revenue from that. But I think it can be done. By next year, I plan to put out some plans that get it done. But we have to do something because people are falling behind, and it's really sad to know that people are committing suicide. People are dying by heart attack, stroke. They're having aneurysms. Marriages are falling apart. People can't help their kids who are in college because they don't make enough. I mean, we could do better than this. We are the greatest nation on earth, the most powerful economy. I think we can do it. And for those of the people that are constantly talking about it hurts the business community, let me tell you something. Any expense that businesses take on can be offset with tax write-offs for businesses. It has never hurt businesses anytime we have increased the minimum wage throughout the history of the United States. So it's just a argument, it's a straw man argument that people create, but it doesn't have any teeth. It doesn't have any backbone. In fact, now that so many people are home, you have business owners who are now trying to pay $24 an hour just to have employees come and work in their business. So if it didn't hurt before and it's not hurting now, it's not going to hurt.
Yeah. And then you got some corporations and businesses saying, hey, you know what? If we keep our workers at home, they're just as productive. Now we don't have to pay that building lease. We don't have to pay that electricity overhead, and we don't have to pay for the free coffee that we're putting in there for our employees anymore, because we can get rid of that whole building and all of the associated costs and have that back in our revenue stream.
Absolutely. When you start making changes like that, you're going to find out that there's a lot of things that we can do to make life better for everybody. It's just a matter of who's willing to do it.
And when it comes to like, I get real sick and tired of people complaining about crime rates and about this. I'm like, well, people don't just commit crime. Well, some people do. Some of them do. They're not just doing it because it's fun. They're doing it because they're desperate. Mm-hmm. They have run out of options. So it's either, do I gamble getting this quick money and I may or may not go to jail, or do I starve? Well, they're not starving. They're not going to starve.
Let me touch on that for a second. So in Florida, we had maybe 60, 70% of our population to agree that we wanted a minimum wage increase. So minimum wage is going to go up to $15 an hour, but it's going to go up incrementally, and it's not going to take place until 2026. It'll reach $15 an hour by 2026. Now, once we got that passed, we have Republican senators who have introduced legislation that make it impossible for returning citizens to be able to partake in the minimum wage increase. Now, if a bill like that becomes the law, that means if you go to jail, you go to prison, and you get out of, you do your time and you get out, that means that you have to go back to work for $7.25. You can't get the minimum wage increase like everyone else. And so the thing is,
that's targeted.
Yeah, absolutely. So you take away their right to vote, and you take away their ability to get a legitimate job and take care of their family. You basically are forcing them back into the crime.
Yeah, recidivism. Recidivism is gonna jump.
You talking dangerous talk, man. You making it seem like people. You making it seem like people. What happened to personal responsibility?
And something.
They're responsible for their actions.
Is it as simple with something with a bill like that? Is it as simple as, well, if you make things more equal, who will we have to look down on? So we got to figure out a way to have someone to look down our nose at. It's like an intentional implementation of a caste system.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I've looked at it all kinds of ways, and what I found out is that you have certain individuals, particularly a lot of Republican leaders, who look to create policy, to create social class division.
Yeah, stratification. Yeah.
Yeah, and so what happens is you have to target these types of politicians, because I believe that all policy and all laws should work to benefit individuals. No policy and laws should hurt individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And policies like that, like these voter suppression bills, they don't help build our society. They tear it down. They take us back to a place where it wasn't good for everyone. We want to continue to evolve and to continue to get better and be the more perfect union that we can be. Policies that take away a person's ability to provide a living for their families, that is destructive. It's un-American, it's undemocratic, and we have to band together every chance we get and vote those kind of politicians out of office. Like what they did in Texas, what they're doing in Florida, what they're doing in 43 other states with these voter suppression bills. It's un-American. We got to get these guys out. And I'm excited about the future and knowing that these types of politicians won't have a future.
How do you? That's a fantastic. I mean, you. I don't see how you're going to lose. But I have a two-piece question. One is, do you have a particular strategy towards Rubio? And two is, do you have a particular strategy towards the Rubio voter? And I will expand on the second part of that, because we all know Rubio's fake. We saw how fake he was during Trump. First he hates him, then he loves him, then he loves his policy. Now he's a moderate, now he's extreme, etc. But the voter has this idea in their head that that again, it's the personal responsibility thing, right? Like you will do as hard as you work, and that anything that is given to you that is given to you by the government is just government control, and it's going to and I don't want the government taking over my life. Those are really their talking points, because that I see the most outside of pro-life, which is obviously, that's a completely different thing, and a debate that I don't really like to have. But as far as those 2 points with, where they bring up, working hard, personal responsibility, that sort of thing, how do you come after that and show them that your policies impact them in a positive way, and it's not just giving control to the government? Because we know, you and I know that that's true, but how do you communicate that to Joe Republican?
As I said before, I come from District 17. District 17 in Florida is the largest congressional district in the state of Florida.
Where is that?
It covers southern Polk County all the way down to Lee County, from Okeechobee over to Sarasota. So it's like 10 counties inside of Central Florida. It's not only the largest congressional district, but it's the most red. We have Lee County, which is named after Robert E. Lee. So we have the most Republicans.
Oh, that's a great name.
Yeah, I cut my teeth on dealing with Republican voters. I know how they think. We have so many Republican voters that it as a political scientist, I know where to draw the line, where to amplify information, and really how to get them to a point where they begin to understand beyond the speaking points. Because, as a political scientist, I know that you can't learn policy by watching Fox News. It only gives you speaking points.
Right.
But when you begin to give them the bills and the laws and show them how those bills directly, positively, or adversely impact their lives, then they have no other recourse of action but to understand and get on board with where we really are. Because as long as the media is saying one thing, and then you can show them through the Library of Congress or through Senate.gov or House.gov and show them the actual bills and how they're impacting them,
right,
that's when they get on board. And so what I do is I focus on the issues that have personal direct impact. So as you talked about pro-life versus the right to pro-choice and pro-life. Those types of issues don't directly impact everyone. They impact some, but they don't impact everyone. But a lot of the times, if we focus on bills that directly impact everyone or eventually will directly impact everyone, for example, Social Security. If you are a Republican and you depend on Social Security, the last thing that you want is for a member of Congress to start talking about dismantling or outsourcing or getting rid of Social Security because you depend on that. When you start talking about veteran suicide, you can be a Republican, but you can also be suffering from PTSD and you need help. You don't need for a Republican to start talking about taking away funding from the VA or taking away funding from programs that are helping you. So I try my best to figure out where a person is coming from, what keeps them up in particular, and then address them head on. And so, as you know, this isn't something that you can do with a speech. This isn't something you can do overnight. It takes constant engagement. It takes constant outreach. And when you talk about working hard, I've been doing this now for 11 months. I go to the people. I'm the only candidate that have a monthly town hall. I'm the only candidate that asks the question, what's on your mind? I'm the only candidate that has the power hour where I spend an hour answering questions every single Friday night. And the reason I do it is because it's so powerful to give people a voice, to give people a chance to be heard. Because what it also does is, if I'm listening to you, it's going to open up a doorway for you to listen to me. And that's all I need is for people to listen. Because I believe that if you have an opinion, the opinion is fine, but opinions don't weigh anything up against a fact. And I try to present the facts in the best possible way that I can so that people can see the facts and how policy directly impacts their life. Once they see it, the light bulb goes off. There's nothing Rubio can do about that. There's nothing the Republican Party can do about that. And I've learned this as a political scientist because, you know, the thing is, when I was in school, we had to take just simply a headline and determine if the headline was coming from a conservative news source or a liberal news source. Because based on the slant, and that's what it is, based on the slant, they're trying to target their audience. And when I let people know that, okay, you know, this is how you believe, but where did you hear that from? Be honest. Where did you hear that? And when they say, well, I heard it on Fox News, I said, listen, Fox News has a reputation and they have a target audience based on how they're trying to reach to be able to get the ad buys to pay their CEOs and their CFOs the salary that they're gonna pay them. They're doing that by targeting you with misinformation to get you all riled up and all of these things. I said, but that is not how you're supposed to learn policy. Usually you learn government through civics, but let's be honest, you only get in civics in 9th grade. Most people in 9th grade are not paying attention. And then whenever they get out of school, they don't get any more government. They don't get any more civics until they start watching news again a little later in life. And now they are somehow a political scientist. And like the gentleman asked earlier, like who's your congressman? The average person can't tell you that stuff. So it tells you right then and there that they're only regurgitating speaking points. Correct. And a person like me, I will take speaking points and I will annihilate them with real hard facts about what policy does.
Nice.
And how it directly impacts your world.
Because that's exactly why I don't do the online debates anymore, is because it's bumper stickers. Like that's all they have for me is bumper stickers. I'm like, you don't know who's representing you. You have no idea what bill is you're even talking about. You just heard it from somebody and you know, just the libtards are just gonna, it's like, okay.
Sounded right to me. Yeah. And here's the thing that makes me feel good about you, brother. And that is this: you have a marketing background. And Haas and I joke about this all the time. The Democratic Party has the worst marketing department in the history of marketing departments, right? It's just astonishing how repugnant that they are when it comes to messaging in the Democratic Party. That and eating their own when it comes to trying to destroy
That
progressive voices. So
That
Yeah.
part.
yeah, but so I know you got to go. I know you're on the East Coast. Unless Mikey or Haas has the last question for you.
I just have one more thing to chime in. And I wrote this note down probably like half an hour ago, but I forgot to say it. If we properly educate our children, we don't need an electoral college. And saying that to say, when the civics is not just 1 year in school where you have to get a 80 or a 75 to pass or whatever it is, and it actually becomes part of the curriculum, and it becomes
61.
If it becomes part of the learning process and part of you learning what it is to be an American, and this is how you live here. We are Canada's to our north, Mexico's to our south. Our government is made of 3 branches, and then go on past that. Don't just make them take the legislative, executive, and judicial, and then just say, all right, that's good enough, slap them on the ass, and off they go. No, they need to understand how everything works. And as soon as young people, a whole generation of young people understand that their vote is being broken up into districts, which is being voted on by electors, they ain't gonna want that. It was like, why? Wait, I voted, so it should go into this pile of votes, and then he voted that way, so that should go into that pile of votes, and then we'll count the pile. Well, no, that's not how it works. Let them figure out that that's the way that it works. Let them learn that is not that their vote isn't doing what they think their vote is doing. And not only will voter turnout be astonishing once the electoral college is gone, but more younger people will be more engaged in politics in the first place. And that goes back to the other comment I said about younger people getting involved in politics, because all they want to do is complain about a bunch of old white dudes making decisions for them. Well, under this system, that's what's going to happen, because that's the only people who actually who are in positions to care about it. That's the only people who are running. So that's the only people who are winning. And that fundamental change in the way that we teach kids about the country that they live in, that has to change first.
Let me share this real quick, and I'm going to touch on what you said about those individuals who are running because they care. When I was in political science school, we talked about something called the elite theory, and the elite theory is where you have people who make a lot of money in business, and then they reach a certain plateau in business, and then the only other place to go is to get into politics so that they can start wielding contracts back to their companies. Kind of like what Rick Scott did, kind of like what Dick Cheney did with Halliburton. I mean, this happens, called the elite theory. In the state of Florida, if you want to run for the seat that I'm running for as a black man, I'm the only black man running for this particular seat out of 21 million people. But if you wanted to run for this seat or a House of Representatives seat, you're going to have to pay $10,000 just to get your name on the ballot. Now, other states don't have this type of fee where it's this ridiculous. The Constitution tells us that you only have to be 30 years of age. You have to have been a United States citizen for at least 9 years, and you have to live in the state that you're looking to run in. That's what the Constitution says. The Constitution dictates the criteria for senator or House of Representatives. But then you got the state of Florida trying to implement this cost in order to get your name on the ballot. Do you know how many people I've talked to that would like to run for office but don't have the financial wherewithal to pay that type of money to be able to do that? So you have these mechanisms that are in place, these institutional racism situations that keep certain groups of people out of the political process. And so we have to really look at this situation from a holistic and comprehensive standpoint and rectify this from the top to the bottom, because we're gonna continue to have people represent our interests that don't come from where we come from, and like I said before, don't even know who we are, don't even care. And until we start to really push and get behind those who do care, then we're going to continue to have that. But I fundamentally believe that we should be electing people who have have a history of working for the people. And usually those types of individuals, they don't always have the financial wherewithal. But if you know that these young people are interested, then help them organize, help them to fundraise, support them, get behind them. As a grassroots candidate, I probably do not have the kind of money that my top 3 opponents have. But what I do have is a vision. I do have dedication and hard work. I'm outworking all of them put together. I've been running longer than them. And this is a state that has 67 counties. I am moving around each and every county, talking to the people, listening to the people, and putting together policy that's going to directly impact as many people as I can, because I have a heart for the people. I want to make sure that I am doing my best for the people that not only are in my party, but people in general. And that's what we need to get beyond in this country is once you get elected, you're still only representing the people that are in your party. When you're elected to represent everybody, not just some. And it's going to be very hard to do if you're bought off by special interest groups.
Right.
Yeah. You mentioned support, and real quick to Mikey's point, what you mentioned would also help with the gerrymandering.
Exactly.
But you mentioned support, Alan. So while we have a few listeners on who look like they might be new, welcome. Mikey, let's do this. Let's tell them how they could subscribe or support us, and then we'll hear about how people can donate to Alan's campaign or learn more about his platform in that order, if you will, good sir.
Well, everybody, I just got back from my honeymoon. I am now a married man, and it cost all of the Patreon money. I didn't tell the guys yet. Don't bother checking the account. The money is gone. I spent it. And I'm going to need some help replenishing our war chest. So please go to patreon.com/
gentrify it.
Go patreon.com/ dig on America. Couple of bucks a month. Every little bit helps. Everybody chips in. It helps us buy new equipment, new mics, new cameras, pay for all of our streaming platforms and all that stuff. It really helps us out. But if you are not in a financial position to help the show that way, by all means, follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/DOA podcast. And then the YouTube channel is Dig on America. Our Twitter is Dig on America. And also go to our website. So like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, all the free stuff. And if you are listening to us, you should be watching us live. We go live every Wednesday at 9:30 Central, or 7:30 Pacific. And on your podcatcher, there's probably a way to rate us. Give us a 5-star rating. It'll really help out the show. It helps us get in front of new eyeballs and new ears. And that'll help us help you put the money back that I spent in Belize, Cozumel, Costa Maya, and Rotan.
And Nicaragua.
No, Nicaragua was not part of the cruise. I'm banning Nicaragua.
All right. So time to hear from Alan. Before he pitches, though, he doesn't know this. We have one more quick game to play with you. This is called Prank One, Marry One, Snap One. And thank you for your time. You've probably heard of a similar game. What we do in this game is we're going to give you 3 people. You will prank call one. You will have to marry one. And you will have to snap one. Snapping like Thanos, not killing, just erasing from existence. They can be brought back by the Hulk.
Because that's against terms of service.
Yes. And we will each give you one person. I will start this time, I think. Who do I want to give you? I will give you Haas's favorite woman in the world, Angela Bassett.
Oh, that's not right. That's not right.
Haas?
Oh, you want me to go next?
Yeah, we'll just go left to right or top to. Oh, all
right.
Never mind. Go ahead.
Ilhan Omar.
Ilhan Omar, Angela Bassett, and Mikey. Who are you throwing in there?
Short-haired Nia Long.
Woo!
Okay, so you got to prank one, marry one, snap one. This is a tough one because okay, go ahead. You're on the seat. This is your whole campaign hinges on it. You should have seen the one we did last week, brother Mikey. It was great. So, but all right, go. Look, he's like, no.
You talking about me?
Yes,
you
man. You got to prank
okay.
one, marry one, or snap
Angela
one.
Bassett, you have Ilhan Omar, and you have Nia Long. You are going to prank call one, you're going to marry one, and you're going to snap one. What is it?
I'm going to prank. I'm going to prank Medea.
Medea.
Medea? Who said Medea? No, Nia Long.
You got to pick from the list.
Nia Long.
Oh,
short-haired Nia Long, dude.
Yeah. You got to pick the 3 people we gave you.
Yeah, Love Jones.
Okay. Let's see. Angela Bassett.
You're pranking Angela Bassett?
Yeah.
Okay. Now you got Mary and you got Snap.
Mary, Nia Long, and who was the other one you had? The third.
Ilhan Omar.
Ilhan Omar, you're
I'll snap her.
soon to be constituent.
Oh wow!
You should have gone with. You should have gone for the head.
You should let us pick our own.
No way.
No, that's too easy.
No,
you can't. No, you don't. That's not the way
That's
the game
no fun.
works. I will marry my wife and snap my ex-wife. And prank my mom. It don't work that way, brother. All right. Now that you are in big trouble with the squad, go ahead and give us. Tell everybody how they can find all your stuff and watch Mikey's magic fingers type it in really quick.
All right. So if you have enjoyed this conversation and you want to be a part of what we're doing, you could do so at allenellison.com. Once you're on allenellison.com, you have some options. You can join our team as a volunteer. You can also go to our shop. We have some really good merchandise over there. So be sure to go over there and get your hats and shirts and phone cases and different things like that. But also visit our site to make a contribution, because your contributions help us to reach further. At the end of the day, it's all about who can reach the most people, and we have to be able to pay for software like this, Restream, various management software to keep our team integrated and working towards a common goal of winning this election. I've already been running for 11 months, and we still have a year to go. And I couldn't do it without the help of people just like you. So please make a contribution, join our team, and be sure to visit our swag shop. And once you get your swag, take a photo and share it with us on social media. Thank you so much.
And I believe I got your social media correct there at the bottom. Alan L. Ellison on Twitter, correct?
Yep, I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
Okay.
Hey, I'm even on Roblox.
I saw that you're a Roblox player. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm on Roblox and Discord, all of that.
Cool. And let's get together in a day or two and do that Spaces thing we talked about.
Okay.
If you're down for that, I'm down for that too. Listeners, next week we have Jesse Felipe, who is also from Florida, running for Congress on the show. We have a gentleman named Brent Henrik, who is running for Congress in Oregon the week after that, which I will not be on that show, so I'll be in the air. And then we have Brian J., who is running a progressive running for Congress in Michigan the week after that. So boom, 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 boom. Alan, thank you, sir. We appreciate it. We'll let you go because I know you got to go to bed. And then we will jump into the humidor. I'll let you guys say your goodbyes.
Do me a favor when you see Jesse and Brent, tell them I said hello.
You know those guys?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I will let them know.
All right.
We'll put them on the spot. Send me the people I should prank Mary Snap for Jesse next week.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll make it hard. Make it hard for him. Okay.
Giggity.
It'll come right from you.
All right.
Hey, thanks for coming out, man. Really appreciate you. We put some questions to you, and you handled yourself admirably. I wish I lived in Florida. I'd vote for you.
Thank you all so much.
But I'm from Illinois, so we can come down there and vote.
I'm about to say he's from Illinois.
Hey, he got TJ.
Vote, and then
he's got TJ to vote for him.
Yeah, TJ will vote for him.
Hey, but guess what? if you can't vote, you can make a donation. I'll take that too. And the other thing is, I like the kind that jingles, but I'd rather have the kind that folds.
Okay. Okay. Mrs. Jinx, Mother Jinx, come on down here too.
So as you sign off, give us the dunk you do on Obama. Tomahawk.
Oh,
Is it a Wilkins dunk? Is it a Wilkins dunk? Or is it a Clyde Drexler dunk?
Clyde Drexler.
The smooth dunk?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can't do the president too bad.
Where the rim
You can't power dunk on him. You can't
do it too bad.
You can't Sean Kemp him.
No, you Sean Kemp. Oh, if you Sean Kemp Obama, the Secret Service gonna have you in a black site.
You gotta come down like this.
Before that ball hits the pavement, you will be in a black site in Alaska.
So,
you better not go that hard.
I was just playing.
No.
How about the Shaq? You could do the Shaq on Chris Dudley dunk, where you got Kirkpatrick crotch push on the president.
I wouldn't do it like that.
just play against Marco Rubio, and winner gets the seat.
Yeah.
Yo, that's what you should do. Challenge Marco Rubio to a 101 to 11 by ones.
Give him a 4-point lead.
Give him a 4-point lead. Break them off a couple of them. I'm talking about you're gonna be going crazy on the internet.
When you get a chance, go to my TikTok account and check out my basketball skills.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
We'll do that.
Definitely. Definitely. All right, now.
Brother. Appreciate you.
Have a good one, man. Be safe.
You as well. Thank you.
All right. You got some music to play?
Possibly.
Welcome to the Humidor with Big Haas. Find out what Haas is puffing and drinking tonight. If you try his suggestion and you die, that is natural selection. And the DOA podcast is not responsible for you being weak fucking sauce. So now, the one, the only, Big Haas.
Where's she been?
Baby.
Where Jenna been at? That's what I want to know. Anyway. Wrong guy. Big House. What you drinking? What you smoking?
All right, so it's about to be fall. So I had to go with a fall type cigar. So today I have the Quesada Cigars Oktoberfest. Okay, so y'all familiar with all of the Oktoberfest themed beers, correct?
Mm-hmm. Great time of year.
This is a small batch seasonal cigar from the House Quesada, the Oktoberfest. And when I say small batch, I mean small. They only make 200 to 500 boxes per season. They sell out fast. I happen to get my hands on 2. This is the second one I'm smoking. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I got it paired with a nice beer. I paired it today with the Spotted Cow from New Glarus.
Okay.
If you're familiar with Door County, you know what I'm talking about, and you're jealous right now.
Haters gonna hate.
Because that Spotted Cow ain't no punk. All right, so this cigar is a puro. And what does puro mean?
The wrapper, the binder, the filler are all from the same country.
All from the same country. And what country is that?
I don't care.
Mikey, what country is it?
Oh, look.
You mean it? You choose me?
You're so edgy, Mikey.
Gotta warm up here, man. República Dominicana.
Correct. Yes. I purposely didn't tell you earlier when we were talking about this because I wanted you to be surprised.
You got
when
me.
you finally got that shout out when I said, Mikey, where is it from?
The beef continues.
Yes. So yes, this is a Dominican puro. Okay. The wrapper, the binder, and the filler are all from the Dominican Republic. Specifically, the Cibao Valley of the Dominican Republic. All right. So the wrapper, nice and dark, oily, got a little sheen to it. It's kind of cracking a little bit. You see that cap there? You see that? I don't necessarily like that. You know, I did a deep V cut, and the cap has stayed very well. But then as I get towards the end, as you can see, I'm getting up towards the cap with the cigar here, and you know, the heat starts to dry out a little bit, and the cap started to come undone. I don't like that. Other cigars tend not to do that. But it's got notes of cedar wood. It's got some chocolate influence there. As I get towards the end, of course, the tobacco gets hotter, but it's a little bit more earthy towards the end there. They call it a medium, but I would consider it a medium full. Interesting thing is that the filler leaves are all from different parts of the leaf. So we got the Criollo, we got the Visos, and the Ligero in the filler. So that is like the top, middle, and bottom part of the leaf. Okay, so you're getting varying strengths there. Ligero is pretty strong. We've been on for 2 hours and 10 minutes, and I still got 1.5 inches to go. Giggity.
Giggity.
So it's a very slow burning cigar. The Spotted Cow, the beer, as I smoked and it got more earthy, the Spotted Cow brought out more of that. When I take a little puff without the beer, it's a little bit muted, but when I have a little bit of that beer, it definitely gives me a little bit more punch of earth, so a little bit more bitterness. But I also have some red vines here, which are head and shoulders above Twizzlers. I don't care what nobody says.
Thank you. Thank you.
And interestingly enough, when I have a couple of bites of red vine here, it actually enhances a little bit of the chocolate flavor. That is interesting. Something interesting.
Vine.
Now, what I did notice on the con side was there were a few times where I had to relight the cigar. And I, after 2.5 minutes, it had gone out. So I don't like that at all because, as you know, if you've been watching the Humidor for a while, the more you relight the cigar, especially with the torch, I could have done it with a match, but it would have been kind of distracting. I was really interested and wanted everybody to hear what Brother Ellison was saying. So I used the torch, and when you relight with the torch, you're gonna superheat that tobacco. And I'm not an IPA guy, Wayne. That's some London shit. Y'all like scooping mud out of the riverbed and putting it in a cup and drinking it. That's
Vegemite. That disgusting shit. Wayne loves it. He tells me all the time.
He pours the beer and it's like clumps going into the cup and stuff.
It's glooping.
It's hops, man. Get out of here.
No.
But overall, pretty good cigar. The condition of the wrapper, and I let it sat in the humidor for about 3 weeks, so it's not like it was dry or anything like that. So I'm gonna have to give this one a 4.2 because I had to relight it a lot, and because it started to deconstruct on me as I've smoked it, and then also it's a little bit more bitter for my taste towards the end of the cigar, but I will have to check out another one of these if I get my hands on one, giggity, and see how, if I have to relight it, if I do it with a match, if that changes the experience for me. But 4.25, and I would, it's not that expensive. These are about $8 online. For singles, you could probably find a box for, that's the thing though. If you can find a box, you can find a box of 24 for what 150, 160 if you're lucky.
Damn, it's just so much money.
It's 24 cigars, man.
I don't care.
I understand. You got to break that down per cigar. That's actually way less than $8. But anyway,
it feels like more.
4.25 when I'm spending $40 on 2 bottles of vape juice these days, but okay.
God dang.
Yeah, but that juice is gonna last you a month.
No, it doesn't last me that long. Not in this.
You know,
not
he's a deep puller.
not
Giggity.
in this too strong for all that.
But yeah, I would definitely smoke it again. Like you like a nice slow burner. You like a cigar that you don't feel guilty about the expense of it. So if you can find a quality cigar, 4.25 is really good for an $8-9 cigar. So you got a nice quality cigar. It's not going to really break the bank, and you can pair it with your favorite beer and have a nice experience.
And you're right, Wayne Maker. Mikey's lost his right to an opinion here too.
Once you got married, dude, it's over.
I'm not married. I'm not married to Wayne. Like Wayne can still shut up. Like
prove it. Prove it.
Right.
Prove it. Wayne said you are.
Not according to the pictures I saw.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying too. I'm over here screaming
everybody
that too.
about that.
All right, and guys, who if you're listening, we're posting. Much to Wayne's chagrin, I've been posting some clips of some shows. They're a little bit shorter. Some are 8 minutes. Some are 30. You can check some of those out. And again, we got the candidates 3 out of the next 4 weeks. And supposedly, when I'm in the air on the 13th, supposedly you guys got TJ. So,
for those of y'all in the audio world, I'm putting up the lips of disbelief.
Okay. He says,
I believe it when I said, when I see his face and hear that silky throat pause.
And hear those
giggity.
velvety tones.
Yeah.
Yes.
You've got TJ.
I wanted to get him on while we had a Florida guy on, but he wasn't available those weeks. They said that's the week he's available. But okay. And I'll be gone the 2 weeks in a row then. So everybody will be really happy. Let's put an APB out for Jenna. We haven't seen her in a while.
Yeah, I gotta get a flight, man. I need a does
pause.
Southwest go to
all right, we should sign off now. It's time to go. We'll see everybody next week.
Why you hating, man?
We'll see you all next week. And watch the Tony's Tony video. There you go. Later.
Bye.